This episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. Healthcare professionals can lead their careers with LinkedIn. Discover jobs by specialty, preferred shifts, and even desired salary. From mental health therapists to radiology technicians, it's now faster and easier for healthcare professionals to find the right fit. Learn more at linkedin.com/healthcare. Side effects may include faster job placement, improved work-life balance, and increased career satisfaction.
Hey, it's Paris. You know I love sparkly things, right? Like stars. Duh. And thanks to Hilton and AutoCamp, I just slept under them. Picture me, serving looks by the fire outside my luxurious Airstream, making s'mores with the kids, while a national park is our backdrop. The great outdoors meets Hilton hospitality. That's hot. Explore all the new ways to stay at Hilton.com. Hilton for the stay.
This school year, let the Walmart app ace your kid's favorite subject, snack time. With Nature Valley Crunchy Granola and Danimals smoothies they'll actually wake up for. Craft Lunchables for a truly refined cafeteria palate, or Gatorade for when they take Capture the Flag a bit too seriously. Get all their on-the-go cravings delivered right to your door, just in time for that opening bell. New school year, all the snacks. The Walmart you thought you knew is now new.
Welcome to Book Talk for Book Talk with Jack and Amy, a literary podcast where we deep dive into the writings of your favorite novels. This autumnish, we're hosting a book club while we prepare our 10-part literary analysis of Sarah J. Maas's Heir of Fire. This is Jack.
And I'm Amy, and each week we'll discuss one book from our autumnish book club roster. By using our literary background, we'll provide our flash analysis of each book, as well as discuss listener thoughts.
This week, we're discussing A Cruel Thirst by Angela Montoya.
The views expressed by the hosts are entirely their own and in no way represent the thoughts or intentions of the original author. This podcast is a discussion shared to spark thought and conversation on the characters and themes of this novel. The interpretations presented in this podcast are just a few of many possibilities. Listeners are encouraged to read along and share their own analysis of the text.
Though the hosts mostly speak within the constraints of this book, series spoilers may be discussed with or without warning. Explicit language as well as themes of sex, violence, abuse, depression, self-harm, and death will recur throughout this podcast. Listener discretion is advised. If you're enjoying the podcast, please check out our Patreon for more exclusive content. You can find us at patreon.com/booktalkforbooktalk. Amy, we're doing a podcast.
We are doing a podcast.
Why does it feel like we've never recorded a day in our life?
I feel like every time we come back, week after week, doesn't matter what type of season it is, we've forgotten how to do our jobs.
We recorded 3 days ago. It's not even a week.
It's
not
so
even
embarrassing.
a week. We should be ashamed.
We really should be.
All right, but instead of being ashamed, we are here to discuss A Cruel Thirst
by Angela Montoya.
You know what time it is?
I do.
Do you regret starting this last November?
No, I actually really enjoy it.
I know, I do too, especially when I make you go first. Although I made you go first last week, so
I think it's your turn.
Look at me being kind. A perfect YA, I'm counting that as one word, novel. Standalone, one word or two words? Standalone. Standalone. Damn it. Bring back those vampires. I have more words.
Nice.
That's what I can do for now.
Okay, my 10. So cute and perfectly short. I loved every moment.
Yay.
Yeah.
Your pinky's out, so you look really formal also. Yay. It's a fancy yay. I am so happy that this came up. I'm so happy that we were on Audible just being like, what are we picking? Because we're never physically reading a book again for book club.
It's so hard to physically read a book for book club.
I know.
But where did we first hear about Angela Montoya? She was a panelist in one of the panels we went to at the LA Times Festival of Books back in April.
She was. I was wondering where this...
Yes.
Like, why is this familiar?
She was sitting next to Megan Quinn, I believe, in that panel.
Yes.
And I saw this book physically at some of the pop-up bookstores that were on campus.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved the cover. And I loved that she was Latina.
She said Vampire Zorro.
Yeah. Vampires and Zorro.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's so exciting. Yes. Now that you remind me, I'm like, oh my God, she was so cool too. She was so smart and funny. And
Mm-hmm.
it was immediately like I want to do that. And here we are fulfilling this manifestation, guys. It can
That's
happen
right.
if you just buy the books and do it. It's late in the day and Amy and I woke up early to work out.
And then we worked real work.
Yes.
And now we're here. And now after this, we're going to write.
Yeah. And I just got a notification that I have access to buy chaperone tickets. So this is an overwhelming time for everyone.
Yeah, really, really, really.
But we kind of teased it out last week when we were talking about the Hunger Games because we were like, you guys, you have to read this. This is a must for me. I don't care that it's YA. I don't care that it clicks, like it fulfills all the YA genre for me. This is the type of YA that I used to tell myself, I don't care how old I get, I will always read YA.
Mm-hmm.
And then YA changed.
And this, I do feel like, is a hearkening back to traditional YA.
Yes.
What I think of when I think of YA books.
Which is funny because traditional YA is still so relatively new because YA wasn't really developed until like 2010s-ish. Or no, the 2000s, the noughties. So, traditional is a relative term. Although those kids can now drink. It's weird. Age is a construct. Time's a construct. But yeah, this does feel very traditional YA. And this is the kind of book that I would have read. This is the kind of book that I would tell anyone who has a teen of any age. I'd feel comfortable with them reading this.
Mm-hmm.
I think, I'm like, wait a minute. I think a 12-year-old, I'd be fine with them reading this. Whatever.
Even though sex happens off screen.
I mean, they're going to read some fan fiction in their life.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I was already reading naughty crap
yeah. I mean,
that point.
Also, like, sex happens off screen in a way that is her claiming her power in a very consensual and loving way.
Yeah. This is the kind of book you want your teenager to read or preteen.
This is the teen. And then even 18-year-old, I would have loved reading it. Even 35-year-old me was super into it. So what are some of your highlights?
There's so much to enjoy about it. And I thought of you constantly while I was reading this because this is the first book, I think, we've read by a Latina author that integrates Spanish the way that we've seen Arabic integrated into previous books or other language, Korean, etc. So, and it's a language you understand. I understand the words that are being used. And I was like, oh, even I understand.
You're like, I know what mama means. Wait.
I understand what K means.
Yeah. Yeah, it felt very good. I don't know. I mean, that's like the most simple way to describe it, but it just felt really good. And it's one of those moments where I always know representation matters. Like I know it. I haven't felt it before because I am so white passing and I'm just like, so I've, I'm like, oh, poor me. Right. But then reading a book where the characters are Spanglish, like it's just all Spanglish and it's just in the culture and everything is very familiar to me, that it did make me feel very warm and fuzzy where I was like, you guys, this is why representation matters.
Yeah.
Because it just felt really good. And yeah, the language aspect of it. I will say, so this is Mexican inspired. And whenever they would talk about some of the dresses and stuff, it did make me think of my childhood of me being like, Mama, I want that dress. And she's like, those aren't Mexican dresses. We are Chilean. I'm like, but our dresses are ugly. I want the Mexican dresses. They're so much more pretty. And even as I was reading this, I was like, you know what? I guarantee it was more beautiful.
Yeah. What I also liked about this was the integration of history, quote unquote history, news bulletins over the centuries, and references to the area that we now know as California before it was United States, California.
it also didn't feel very like, oh, it's in this world type thing. It didn't
Right,
feel like a
exactly.
historical, because there's a lot of references to gods, which now I'm like, oh no, did I not do research? I didn't do research. Or are these gods that were to the local indigenous that I just, yes, did you look it up?
I think it is.
Okay.
They sounded familiar to me. Let me double check.
Okay. So at this point, we did some quick research, and I don't see anything as to these gods necessarily. It is in 1830s California, Abundancia, California. So it seems like this is more underlying Mexican folklore,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't see anything necessarily about the gods, but there's a lot of notes about Angela using a lot of Mexican inspiration. And one thing when it comes to Latin America, there is no inspiration without local indigenous. That's because, like, Latins were just local indigenous mixed with some colonizers.
Right. So, for example, Tecuani, in Aztec culture, according to the page that I'm looking at right now, is a jaguar that's a powerful and sacred symbol representing strength, the natural world, and the spiritual realm.
So she did use Aztec inspiration. This just kind of like doubles down some things for me. And one of which is that Mexican culture gets really cool dresses, like really pretty dresses. Mexican culture gets some amazing singers and like some bomb ass food. And they get the cool indigenous people. I am sorry, Chile. I mean, we got empanadas. Our dresses aren't that great, and I'm so sorry. And like the Mapuche are cool. That's what I am. But it's no Aztec,
I'm sorry.
It took me a long time to really process that, like, just because I was Latin didn't mean I was Mexican, and I was really sad when I found that out. And I
Oh.
still am like, but Mexico's so cool. Anyway, so you get to really celebrate a lot of Mexican culture, heritage, folklore in this book. And I kept going back and forth between, wait, is this set in like our world, or is this not set in our world? And it is, but it's not, and it's also never answered, and I don't want it to be answered. That wasn't what it was about for me.
I completely agree. It was very ambiguous. You can see how it is based on our world, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's our world. But it follows a timeline that makes sense in the history of the region you and I currently live in, which is kind of cool.
Why does that just dawn on me? I'm like, you're right. We are here in California. Oh my God, we're Lalo.
No, we are not Lalo.
Okay, so the characters that we're going to talk about are Lalo and Carolina, which is funny because the nickname that was Lina, and I'm like, that's a pretty nickname. Our family, it's Caro.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I was like, why didn't we go for Lina? That's a nice one.
I like Lina.
Caro. I'm like, that makes Lina makes more sense.
Yes,
what are Chileans doing here? But just to kind of lay it out for everyone, because this is going to include spoilers. But sometimes listeners like to listen even though they haven't read it, and then they're like, "Oh, I am going to read it." So just a little bit of premise. We start off with Lado, and he is trying to avenge his parents who were killed by a vampire. He discovers that there really are vampires. He goes in and is like, "Hey, not my city. I'm going to kill you." And then the vampire said, "I'm a vampire. What the fuck do you think you're going to do?" And then she got mad because she's like, "You're going to kill my children." And he's like, "You killed my parents? What?" And then, so she turns him into a vampire. He comes home after 3 days to his sister, Fernanda. And Francia's a cousin. And Fernanda. And then he's like, "We're going to bounce. We need to go find a way to stop me from being a vampire / let's kill all vampires." Then we meet Catalina, and she is like from a family of vampire hunters that, they're like, "Nah, you're a girl. You can't do that." Even though the grandpa was like, "I'll train you." But she has, things to prove. And in a plot twist of all plot twists, she finds Lado, and he's just trying to survive eating off of animals, drinking their blood. Things ensue, and suddenly we have a fake fiance situation.
So good.
How did we get here? I was so happy with this.
Yeah, the trope inclusion in
Oh.
this story is top notch.
It really is. And this is the kind of refreshing when you have a story that's refreshing, you can beat me down with whatever trope you want because it does not feel like a trope at all. It just every time it takes me by surprise, or I'm like, fake fiance, oh my
Yeah.
god. Or wait, was there a one bed? Not really, but there was like
They do share a bed at one. Well,
no,
not really. You're right.
but
There's like forced proximity,
oh yeah,
fake relationship. Like it's not enemies to lovers. It's
oh,
more
reluctant
like
allies.
reluctant allies. Absolutely.
Mhm.
And, just really adorable family relationships, but also fraught family relationships.
Yeah. Do we want to go into the fraught family relationships? Or do we want to talk about characters? Or do you want to continue? You know, you guide this ship. You be the Jack to my Rose.
Yeah. Why don't we start with.
You're holding me. Thank
No,
you.
but he threads his fingers through hers at one point.
And? Oh, yeah, that's fair. Okay.
So I want to start with MMC and FMC because I don't think the MMC is who we expect him to be. And a lot of the story and the heart of it revolves around Lalo.
Yeah.
And his full name is Eduardo, but Lalo for short.
I love it. I make like the kind of name where I'm like, would I consider it? I'd consider it. Yeah. Lalo is a perfectly developed character.
Mm-hmm.
Everything he does, says, and his actions, I knew and understood immediately. I never had to question his actions. I don't want to say I predicted his actions, but it was the most natural progression. Even things from I was never a difficult child. I just knew what I wanted. I just wanted, I was just knew what kind of food I was. I am but a simple man. I get a haircut once a week, maybe twice a week if they didn't do it correctly. Like it was just the right amount of neurotic that you can really appreciate Lalo for just he's just a neurotic little tism of a boy, and I love him.
Yeah, and what I think is great about him is just how different he and Carolina, I can't say it the way you say it. I can't roll my R's, I apologize.
I'm not even, neither can I. There's like, I just do a D and I pretend.
I'm going to call her Lena.
Yeah.
No, that's too close to Lalo. I don't know if that'll be confusing.
Carolina.
You
know what? You do whatever you got to do.
Carolina. Me and my white ass is going to say Carolina. Lalo is this introverted, wallflower, awkward, doesn't know how to interact with people, has his solution to his parents' death is studying everything he can about vampires for a year to prepare himself to kill a vampire, and is such a nerd who doesn't understand society.
Yeah.
That he is so consistently himself because he knows no other state of being. And I love that about his character because he is so unlike everyone else that he encounters.
Mm-hmm.
And he knows he's different. And he's really closed himself off to others because he knows he's different.
Yeah.
And the change we see in him is a very natural progression that does feel very authentic to him and the character that Angela Montoya has created. Of course, what is so beautiful about it is that everything he is doing is driven by the need to make sure his sister is taken care of. His sister is safe. And that is something I can understand. His motivations at the end of the day are very pure and they are not difficult to understand.
What I really applaud Angela for doing, and I think I've never considered how hard this must be, is that this is a standalone, which means we need to establish his character, his arc, his growth, and then what he's learned, and then his final character arc. We as in me, really rely on this, like, 3-book structure. And then it's like, oh, who they were in the first book is different than who they were at the end. You have to pull that off in one book. And it's not a huge book. It's a book, but it's not. We're
Yes.
currently reading When the Moon Hatched. So, I have a lot of feelings about big books right now. But it's to do all that in one book requires a lot of not just talent, but understanding story writing and to like know how to use that craft.
Yeah. And what's amazing is that Angela does it with 2 characters, not just one, 2 fully developed characters, an MMC and an FMC, who are radically different from who they start out to be,
Yep.
but are still so true to themselves and have built a relationship. Like, I get I just got chills. I get chills thinking about it because it is so well done.
You come to the end of the book and you have both characters have this conclusion of, wow, I was stopping myself from doing X, Y, and Z. Wow, I really didn't understand this part of me for X, Y, and Z reasons. And you have all of these other aspects of this verbalization of their growth. And again, it's done in a natural way, not in and here is everything I learned in the past 300 pages. You know what I mean? Like, it's done in a way of, yes, this would be the thing that they've realized. Maybe because they've been articulating that throughout this entire book in their own thought structures. And then every time that they do something wrong, then they have to kind of come to that conclusion and humble themselves and then identify the parts where they're trying to do something right. And so when you're constantly doing that, then by the end, when they have that growth, it makes sense.
It feels natural.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And what I like about their journeys is the fact that it's not linear.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because they do, especially Carolina, she makes so many wrong assumptions along her way. She thinks she's learning something, she thinks she believes something, and then she takes a step back with an assumption.
Yeah.
I think Lalo's growth was more, I would say, subtle.
Yeah.
Definitely there, definitely very apparent, but it was because he's so internalized, his actions feel smoother along the way, whereas Carolina is like this jerking back and forth constantly. But like in a good way.
Yeah, I mean, she's the one who's getting the horse and is like, I'm going to go kill a vampire, right?
Yeah.
And Lalo's the one who's just like, I'm going to read about vampires. And his scary thing is, I'm going to go break in and get this document.
Yeah. And I'm going to risk getting burned by the sun.
Yeah. And I'm going to go down to the cellar and read. Like, his very risky moments all have to do with like reading a document or something.
Yeah.
And then for Gato, it's very much like, oh, I'm going to go grab this horse and we're going to hijack this carriage and we're going to take this carriage into the mountains that is so unsuitable for horseback and carriages that we're going to break down and then not be able to take the carriage through.
Yeah. She's so brash. All her actions reflect that.
Yeah.
And she realizes her mistakes as she goes, right? She realizes her impulsivity and her pride. And she recognizes, like you said earlier, Jack, how that ends up not serving her and how her long-term goals were very short-sighted.
Yeah, I love her goals and I love Lalo's goals, right? Because they're both driven by different things. One is Lalo's driven to protect his sister, just like Gato's driven to protect her family. Like, I'm calling her my cousin's name now, Gato.
Yeah.
Those are their like external goals. Their internal, we'll call it quote unquote selfish goals, is Catalina is trying to show that she's, trying to prove that she's worth something. And Lalo's trying to show that he's not crazy and that he, because that's one of the things, right, is that he kept going to the police and the police were saying, no, you've lost it. You're insane. And he blames himself a little bit for his parents, but he blames himself for dragging his sister into this like social pariah situation.
Yeah.
So they both have like their external, which is matching driven forces, and then their internal, which comes to a lot of pride as well.
Yeah. Which I think they feel so different, but they are so aligned. And I think that's another kind of masterful use of these characters and the story. Because it makes sense in the end why they do become aligned and why they do end up together, spoiler, because ultimately at the end of the day, both their external and internal motivations, though they look different, are very closely in tune with one another.
Yeah, it's very sweet when you find someone who cares and cares similarly to you. It's nice that you can find that camaraderie with someone else because you're able to be driven by the same force and you don't have to explain that to anyone else. Like,
Yeah.
Lalo doesn't have to explain his love for his sister. Catalina has like 12 brothers.
Which, again, she loves them too, even if she hates being considered less than them.
Yeah.
Less capable of hunting vampires just because she's female. So speaking of that, let's talk about family dynamics, because that's a really important aspect of this novel and the motivations that these characters have. And I really enjoyed the story of Senor Fuentes, Carolina's father, and her relationship and how they're always butting heads.
Yeah.
Because she feels like he's putting her down, doesn't think she's capable, where really he wants to protect his daughter and he feels like his role in life is to protect the women of their family. Whereas Carolina is just like, you don't believe in me. And I think that's a story that people can really relate to, even if you're not a vampire hunter.
I love the family dynamic so much. I need to stop listening to the end of a book while I'm doing my makeup. Because once again, I'm doing my makeup and I was just like, and then her abuelo said to like, he'll do.
Oh yeah, that made me cry too.
I was, and like, tell my Lena that I love her and like to continue to give the world help. It made me very emotional. A lot of cultures are close to their family. This isn't just a Latin thing. And it's kind of funny because someone was like giving me crap. They're like, not crap, but like, why do you always date guys who are not American? I'm like, non-Americans sometimes just understand some of these family dynamics. And it doesn't matter what part of the world. Sometimes it's just like the only way I can really get someone who understands it. And coming from a very Latin family, a family that immigrated to this country and they didn't have anyone else but each other, that dynamic, like only having your group it means so much to not just to your upbringing, it becomes part of your identity. I mean, look at Catalina and her town, right? Everyone there is a Fuentes at one point or another, right? Everyone's a cousin. They're the mayor of the town. And then she even says when they discovered that her family was the one who started the whole vampire curse, she was like, no, a Fuentes would never. A Fuentes would never.
Family pride.
Yeah, and it's a lot of pride, right? And it's like, well, you don't know what a family member would have done 4 or 5 generations back. Fortunately, there's enough stories in my family where I was like, I don't care what part of it was the time. That was not okay. You tell me they started a vampire thing, I'd be like, all right, that's some bullshit we do.
And then covered it up.
Yeah, I'm on board. Let's throw my family under the bus for that. But, it becomes so much who you are of like, you are meant to protect your family. You are meant to look out for your family. You are meant to be there for to be your family, to be a part of that identity. I remember being raised of you don't have to like your family, but you will always love your family and be there for them. It is drilled. And I think that it captured it so perfectly. And between the love of her brothers, right? And for her brothers looking out for her younger brothers, her looking out for them, her mom, her dad, all of it just really nailed down this concept of family. And I'll say it's refreshing because I feel like every other book out there is found family.
Yeah, I agree. I agree that this really, and found family is important.
Yeah.
We are found family. We're not dissing found family. But I also understand not everybody is privileged to have a robust family or a family that is connected.
Yeah.
Also understand that. But it is still very much a reality for a lot of people that they have big family dynamics and that no matter how much you fight, you're still part of the family and the family does X. I very much identify with what it means to be a chum.
Yeah.
So much so that I've never been willing to change my last name.
Yep.
Whether I marry a man or a woman. So there is something to be said about where you come from, who you come from, and what you do to represent them.
Yeah.
And I identify with that, and I think
Yes.
a lot of other people identify with that.
My last name was never Toro, but I am a Toro. That's just, like, all my cousins who that wasn't even their last name, we're all Toros. Like, that's,
Yeah.
but we're Toros. Yeah, the family was beautiful, especially the, like, I mean, you have the juxtaposition between Lalo, who is just him and his sister, and then this big, messy family where they're just like, oh, well, welcome to the chaos, right?
Yeah.
That's another trope that happened was like, hey, I'm your fiance, now I'm moving in.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. No, what I was going to say, I really appreciated the moment that one of the cousins was like, man, I grew up with this family. I didn't have a choice. You're choosing to come into this family. You're crazy. Good luck.
Yeah, it's so funny. It's all of it was, I mean, there's so many great moments, right? Where like her little brother was just like, I hope you live. I hope you don't die.
I hope my dad doesn't kill you.
Yeah. And then the other cousin that's, you know, in the bar and, you know, you're about to kill Lalo and Lalo's like, I am El Patron. I am El Patron. Fucking hilarious. There's
so funny.
So many laugh out loud moments. But then at the same time, when it comes to Latin families, and I know with a lot of other families, there's a lot of machismo in there and a lot of sexism. And that, you know, I love my Latin family, but boy, have a random cousin come down from visiting from Chile and be like, are you going to make me tea? And I was like, no, I will smack you so hard before you tell me to make tea again for you. But yeah, that's a hard one to see.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that the gender dynamics and expectations, you know, the gender norms that we see in this culture and in many cultures was very well done. I also feel like not unrealistically countered. That's why we have a character like Carolina and some of her cousins and Fernanda, who are these strong female characters who are like, yeah, this is how it is, but I don't have to live with how it is.
But you also have the juxtaposition of machismo culture coming from two different ways, right? There's her dad who can't see her as a capable person, only sees his little girl. There's a machismo element there versus Rafa, is that what his name is? Who comes in and it was like, but I am like, just let me take care of you. I am the man. And then you have like that level of machismo. So I think that even when you have these elements that we can identify of, you know, women being judged and the different discrimination of women, you can see the different motivations. Like her dad just really, really loved her. And he eventually learned to see her as an equal, but it comes from a good place. Not that it's good to stop your kids from thriving because of their gender, but you know, you can kind of see it. And then versus Rafa, who is just,
it's a pride thing for him.
You just keep slapping him, Gato. Like just keep slapping him. Grab a snack, stretch your legs, and listen to this while we plot our next move.
This show is sponsored by Liquid IV.
Summer might be over, but hydration is never over.
I need it more than ever now that it's back to school season.
Thank goodness for Liquid IV, because that is what's getting me hydrated and ready for the fall.
Liquid IV is scientifically formulated to help replenish electrolytes and fluids lost from sweat or exercise.
3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drink, plus 8 vitamins and nutrients, all in a single stick.
1 stick of Liquid IV in 16 ounces of water is more hydrating than water alone.
Liquid IV has their new Liquid IV's Energy Multiplier Sugar-Free Hydration Energy. This is what I use daily.
It's 0 sugar, 3 times the electrolytes, and 9 essential vitamins for a sugar-free, crash-free boost.
The fact that it has natural caffeine, it's perfect for that jitter-free, sugar-free lift because you know how I react to caffeine.
And you know what? It comes in 2 amazing flavors. They have a sugar-free energy strawberry kiwi and the best sugar-free energy blackberry lemonade.
I had food poisoning this week, and I'm not even exaggerating when I tell you I had my liquid IV in my giant tumbler, just sipping it, trying to stay hydrated, and I think it saved me.
It's scientifically formulated to support physical energy, hydration, focus, mood, and social stamina, or in Jack's case, food poisoning stamina.
Ditch the glitch with 0 sugar and 0 crash from Liquid IV.
Tear, pour, live more. Go to liquidiv.com and get 20% off your first order with the code BookTalk at checkout.
That's 20% off your first order with code BookTalk. BookTalk at liquidiv.com. Amy, it is my time to shine because fall is in full swing.
All I want for fall are those big, soft sweaters that I can wear everywhere, but they are way too expensive.
Fortunately, Quince makes it easy to look polished, stay warmed, and save big without compromising on quality.
I love their elevated pieces that are just those go-to essentials for fall, including their 100% Mongolian cashmere sweaters from $50. You can't get that anywhere else.
I got one of their cardigans last year. It was my favorite cardigan, and it's going to continue to be my favorite cardigan.
I have always wanted one of those giant wool coats, and I've never made the investment because they're so expensive, but I actually can get the quality that I'm looking for a decent price through Quince.
That's because by partnering directly with ethical, top-tier factories and cutting out the middleman, Quince is able to deliver luxury quality pieces at half the price of similar brands. It's the kind of wardrobe upgrade that feels smart, stylish, and effortless.
I love my 100% cotton button-ups that I've got for this summer. They were a perfect transition piece for summer to fall. Keep it classy and cozy this fall with long-lasting staples from Quince.
Go to quince.com/booktalk for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns.
That's QUINCE.com/booktalk. BOOKTALK to get free shipping and 365-day returns.
Quince.com/booktalk.
As a kid, there was nothing more important than that next PlayStation game. My parents made us save for that stuff.
If only you had Acorns Early.
Yeah, because I had to carry cash, man. That's hard to keep.
Acorns Early is the smart debit card and money app that grows kids' money skills as they grow up.
If you're one of those parents who likes chore charts, you can start with in-app chores trackers and teach your kids the value of $1.
By doing that, it lets your kids set their own saving goals and start building healthy money habits early. I really wish I had something like this when I was younger.
I wish my parents made me do this now.
Actually, yes.
Kids can spend what they've earned with their very own customizable debit card, giving them that extra sense of independence.
Plus, with Acorns Early's spending limits and real-time spending notifications, you are always going to stay in control, parents.
Ready to teach your kids the smart way to earn, save, and spend? Get your first month on us when you head to acornsearly.com/booktalk or download the Acorns Early app. That's 1 month free when you sign up for acornsearly.com/booktalk. BOOKTALK.
Acorns Early Card is issued by Community Federal Savings Bank, member FDIC, pursuant to license by MasterCard International. Free trial for new subscribers only. Subscription fees starting from $5 per month unless canceled. Terms apply at acorns.com/early terms.
Switch to Shiseido Benefiance Wrinkle Smoothing Eye Cream and discover why people are calling it the best eye cream. A powerhouse formula that targets 5 types of eye area wrinkles. 96% of users saw reduced wrinkles and diminished dark circles after just 7 days. Shop Shiseido Benefiance Wrinkle Smoothing Eye Cream at Sephora and discover how change can happen in the blink of an eye. Consumer tested by 110 women.
One of the really important parts about this family, and I was pleasantly surprised very early on, that I think Fernanda first makes a comment about seeing a really pretty girl at the market and, you know, trying to make eyes at her. And I was like, oh, do we have a little baby gay? And then we see the cousin, Marcella,
Marcella,
who is also baby gay And the two meet and they flirt and
Hook
their
up.
relation yeah, they hook up, their relationship is developing off screen, but we get hints of it. And I really appreciated seeing that without it being a big deal.
Yes. Here are my other levels of appreciation. We have said before that a book is whatever the hell you want to make it. If there is, violence against women, you're making it violence against women, and that's because of the world, that's okay, but like you're making it. This book is set in 1830 California, Mexican culture. Unless there's something I don't know about 1830 Latin, Hispanic culture, I can guarantee you it was never okay to be gay. You can barely
Mhm.
be gay now. It is
Yeah.
in Latin cultures. It's very conservative. It was just natural. It was a rewriting of history. That's what I mean when we were saying like it's kind of ambiguous of time and location. Like it was here, it is here, but it's also not here. And it's moments like these where it made it seem like it was just all around accepted, not just amongst these two young baby gays, but I think Lalo even said at one point, like any suitors, men or women type thing.
Mhm, mhm.
A book can be whatever the fuck you want it to be.
And it never made a big deal out of the fact that being gay was okay.
Yeah,
It was
it
just
just
a
was.
natural part of it. And I like what you're saying about rewriting history. I think our instinct is to say, well, that's not historically accurate. Well,
Mhm.
why does it have to be our world and historically accurate?
Yeah,
Is representation more important? And I think in this case, yes, it is.
absolutely. Like this isn't a detailed autobiography of a wartime general in 1830. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's not what this is. You can have it set in whatever period, and if it's not heavily impacting the story and what you're trying to do, then make it whatever the hell you want it to be. I mean, there was a moment where I was like, that didn't like, oh, that's not 1830 California. I know. But that didn't take away from the story at all. Instead, you
Yeah.
get really great side characters and you get inclusivity in a way that is natural and normal that people might not see normally.
Anyway, I thought it was well done. And I think if your main characters themselves are not going to be gay, I felt like it was a very good way to include LGBTQ representation in a book,
Yes.
in
Yeah,
side characters.
absolutely agree with that. The side characters were all so funny too.
They were so good.
Yeah.
This is a book that I have to buy physically and research. Like, I have to study this book.
There's a couple of good hardcovers that I'm looking into. I want special editions.
I want to write in one, so I'm
Oh,
definitely not gonna get a nice that is how much I want to study how Angela wrote these characters and developed them.
this is a kind of book that if anyone wants to be a writer, I would absolutely recommend come back to this book. It doesn't matter what genre you're writing in.
Yep.
It doesn't matter what story you have. Come back to this book and like what you're saying, Amy, is like what beats happen at what percentage happens at what
Yeah.
at this percentage. Normally you have the classical structure 20 to 25% in, you kind of get the initial plot opening early on, you kind of get the initial like here's the plot, and then 25% you're like here's the actual plot, 50% here's the plot twist, and then 75% on is climax, right?
Mhm.
And you can look at that, and I could probably maybe pinpoint, but again, I don't have the physical book, so I can't really tell you what part's what. But this really is the kind of book that I think is worth seeing what her pacing is like.
Mhm.
At what parts are there romantic moments? Because even though their romance is fast, this all happens within days. And of course, they fall in love and they're going to want to get married and everything. It never was like, I'm like, all right, it's fast. But you know what? These two crazy kids, let them do it. Let them get married. Let someone let this vampire marry her.
One of the themes that I think was very well explored in this story, both through the main character interactions themselves, as well as through the underlying plot, was this idea of moral ambiguity.
Mm.
And is it wrong for someone who loves someone else so much to be willing to do and act on their desire to do anything to bring that person back.
Yeah.
And this is something Carolina struggles with when she understands her ancestors' role in the making of the vampires in the area, right?
Mm-hmm.
That their ancestor loved someone so much, they went to a god and begged that that person be brought back.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can fault them because it had all these bad consequences. But on the other hand, as Carolina starts to develop feelings for Lalo, she understands like, oh, but if I could bring my grandfather back or if I could bring Lalo back, I would do anything.
Yeah. I mean, the question of morals, I love it because so you have Carolina and then Lalo. Oh, yeah. And they're their own guilt that they're kind of
Mm-hmm.
pulling from. And I'm going to even say familial guilt of the trauma that you kind of pick up from what others have given you.
Mm-hmm.
And you can say for Catalina, it's her actual family. And for Lalo, it's his like vampire descendants, because he's like the great, great, great descendant of the vampires, right?
Right.
And it's the sins of those who lived before you and having to make up for it. I think that it's another very relevant thing that we see, and especially in today, because especially in America, you'll hear a lot, well, I didn't do that. Why does it matter? Well, my family didn't have slaves. My family didn't kick the local indigenous out. Why does it matter? Well, it does matter. It matters because there's cycles. And until you are able to try to make amends and break cycles, it's there. Because, I mean, then you have like the metaphorical physical representation of Catalina having to go break the actual vampire cycle. And I think that comes a lot to, you can look at that as whether that's family trauma of breaking that cycle. You can look at it as family trauma in the sense that they caused the trauma and breaking that cycle, different types of trauma. But I really liked that metaphor of breaking the cycle in your family.
Yes, the idea of generational trauma and how that trickles down and impacts you even 4 generations later.
Yeah.
I completely agree. And it also has societal implications. As we see, it's not the vampires from Carolina's region travel to the city where Lalo is and has implications for his family and people in that city.
Yep.
So it is I think it is well explored. The other moral ambiguity piece is for Lalo, he's trying so hard to not harm humans because he doesn't want to, but also struggling with the fact that when he first turned, he did kill a lot of humans, even though they were really bad humans.
Yeah. He has the double guilt. He has the guilt of killing them and the guilt of knowing what they did. And it's more than just like drinking blood. I think that the added layer of you take life away from someone when you drink their blood made it extra interesting because it made Lalo really grapple with this morality, right? Because we always kind of, in a way, joke around of like, vampire, I could stop. Like, I could drink a little, whatever, keep going, you'll be fine. And this time she did a good job of saying, no, there's going to be a clear line of the sand of there's no casually drinking. There is only you are taking their life.
You're taking their life and your life depends on it. Like, your immortal body will die if you do not drink human blood. And your thirst will never be quenched. You will never be satiated unless you drink human blood.
I love her take on the vampiro, as she says in the book. Like, I love her take on it. I love that it stems from a family, from a region of like, it's a curse. And this is how the curse is like from this one specific area and you can't go too far. And all of that is, I don't know if that's any of that's particular inspiration from any other folklore, but I like what she did with the place. I like what she did with it.
Yeah, I think she did a fantastic job. Angela picked and chose, the parts of regional folklore she liked and kept it and then made her own changes. I can't say what percentage of either that is. However, I think she did a good blend, which is whatever blend she did.
I'll take the red blend. Shall we look at some Goodreads reviews?
Yeah. Are there many?
There's some. So we did not poll our listeners because this is still a relatively small indie book. However, we are telling everyone they absolutely have to read it. And these are from Goodreads. Someone says, this book had some serious top tier tropes and an amazing setting. And I was all in at the beginning. The first half of the story had me hooked. Everything felt fresh, exciting, and full of potential. But around the 50% mark, things started to lose steam and it just kind of fell apart. The relationship development felt rushed and over the top. It was like it escalated way too quickly and I couldn't fully buy into it. My absolute favorite part of the book was that the MMC is so afraid and freaked out by the FMC that every time she looked at him, his soul left his body.
It is cute, their starting dynamics.
I think people sometimes when it comes to like really cute starting dynamics can't always move past that.
Yeah.
You know, like it's you start up with a very specific vibe and then the vibe's going to evolve and it's going to change. The best part about this is that I don't know these people so I can like openly disagree.
I mean, look, it's a standalone.
Yeah, it's going to be fast. You're going to have, do the pacing.
And it's YA. Like, the pacing is always going to be fast in those instances. I think, given the fact it's YA and a standalone, I think the pacing was spot on.
Agreed. YA is a much more fast-paced genre.
Okay. What else do we have as far as reviews go?
I have one.
Go ahead.
I am in love with Lalo. Agreed. Please, can he be real? I mean, I don't agree because he's 18, but I want him to be real in the sense like he's my cousin or something. And I'm just like, you're just such a little cutie pie. I was beyond excited when I read the blurb. Vampire times vampire hunter. Yes, please. Vampire hunters are so underused in romance, and it sounds perfect. But guys, this book is a prime example of story versus plot. Yes, there's a story, but the plot is very weak. The characters seem to be thrown into random scenes without casualty, as if the author had rolled dice. I found myself questioning the characters and their motifs, and the narrative quickly became stale. There's no real hook, and I solely kept reading because of Lalo. Let's talk story versus plot.
Yeah, what are they trying to say?
I know. Okay, so I think what they're trying to say is that things happen in a progressive line, which creates a story, but not the plot, even though that's a plot. The plot of the book is Lalo's trying to destroy the vampires, and that's the initial motivation.
Mm-hmm.
The initial motivation for Catalina is, I want to kill this vampire to prove everything. Oh shit, no one can know I let a vampire into this house.
And oh shit, maybe he's not a bad vampire.
And once they went digging for the grave, she saw, oh shit, there actually is my family did do something. So, I mean, like, I'm confused about their confusion because I'm like, there's difference between, like, that's called development.
I think what I'm sensing from these two different reviews is maybe the fact that what we think and this goes back to what your description is of what, a regular structure is, that the plot that you just described that we're introduced to at the start suddenly shifts when it becomes about the familial aspect of it and the ancestry and how that is ultimately what has spawned all of this. Because it does become a different story, right?
Yeah.
Because it's no longer about just killing vampires. Now it's about family, cover-ups, pride, and justice, or at least restorative justice in a way. So I can see how maybe for some people that's a disconnect, but to me, I don't feel like there's a disconnect. I feel like it added a depth to what could have been a very surface level book.
You can't have the same motivation at 50% in the book. It can't. You cannot have the beginning thing get you all the way through. The general plot of Lalo wants to get away and figure out what to do, like to kill, right?
Yeah.
He's just trying to learn that and how to get rid of the vampires. That is true. The motivation to get there changes between Lalo and his own reasons and Catalina and her discovery with her family and the cover-up, right?
That's normal.
That's normal. Like, I don't know how else to describe it, where it's like that you can't, if it was the same thing, if halfway through the book, Carolina was still like, well, I'm still accidentally here because I can't have my dad find out, that would be the weakest plot. But you're going to have things shift and change because that is story.
Yeah,
I
completely agree.
You're trying to get from point A to point Z. Other letters will happen.
Yeah, I forget who described it. And I think it clicked for the first time. And maybe this was at the LA Times Festival of Books. And maybe it was Angela. I can't remember off the top of my head. But you're always going to start with OG motivation plot point. And that's going to be your overarching story.
Yep.
Lalo wants to kill vampires and keep his sister safe. That's the overarching. But there's always going to be an umbrella under that.
Yeah.
And then an umbrella under that, and an umbrella under that. And you're going to have these different motivations, and you're going to get new ones, and they'll always resolve themselves. But the last thing to resolve is the first thing that you're introduced to.
You're going to have different beats in a story, and each of them needs to resolve. Like, that is beat. That I'm trying to think of something where, God, sorry guys, Harry Potter, our normal thing. Fuck J.K. Rowling. We hate her. I'm just doing one that's like very common and easy.
Yeah, I'll try to do Star Wars after you do yours.
Okay. Harry Potter book 1. It's figure out who is, trying to get, like, what are they hiding? Save the Philosopher's Stone. But then you have these little moments of Harry joins a Quidditch team. They have to, Hagrid gets a dragon. Like, there are these little things that happen throughout that you kind of have to resolve within to get you through the overarching plot. But you can't have this like overarching plot and then, oh no, but what are we going to do with Quidditch and the dragon? Like, those things have to resolve while you're still going towards the final story.
Yeah.
Go ahead, do Star Wars now.
I'm trying to pick one of the movies.
I know, it's not like it's
not easy.
It's not. The funny thing is it should be easy, and that's why it's frustrating. Here, let's do Throne of Glass.
Okay, yeah, let's do Throne of Glass. Very first novel.
Champion.
Yeah. Selenas is extracted from Endovier to become the king's champion, and by the end of the book, she is king's champion. But along the way, she's got to start a training montage with Kale so that she can be strong enough to become the king's champion.
She has to discover the Elena and...
Right, she has to discover the Elena tomb, interact with Elena. Elena comes to save her. Then you've got people are dying. Nobody knows who's killing all the different champions. And then we come across Kane and the Ridderak, and they get annihilated. And all of that has to happen inside the umbrella of Selena extracted from Endovier to become the king's champion.
Yeah. And maybe because this is a standalone, people, there's that, and it's done type of energy or attitude. But I do get confused when people are just like, things shifted halfway through. And I'm like, yes, as they should.
I have hope. So I feel like duologies have become increasingly popular.
Love them.
Love it. Love it for us. And I feel like the more that they become popular, there's going to be a rise in standalones eventually, kind of on the heels of it, right? Because we had trilogies for a really long time, and then 4, 5, 6 book series, and now we're kind of going down to like 2 books. I think we're primed and ready
for standalone.
I
don't know how I feel about standalones. I normally don't go for standalones. I didn't know this was a standalone. I don't like saying goodbye that quickly.
That's fair.
But having read the standalone, it feels great. I'm like, guess what? I'm not in pain for a year.
Yeah.
We wrap that up nicely. Again, standalones are risky because you're trying to do a lot in one book and you need to come together nicely. And Angela did it. And you run the risk of people thinking it's rushed.
Yes, it's true. And people who don't like standalones will say that it's rushed. And that is fine. That is their prerogative.
Yeah.
Me, I appreciate the craft that went into, and the skill that went into this.
I don't like standalones, and I love this book.
Yeah.
And I appreciate the craft. Yeah, when it's good and you just figure out the biases that you might have, and then unprogram and be like, why is it that I don't like this thing? One review here. Maybe I'm just getting old, but you want me to focus on the awkward teen vampire when Catalina's father is tall, broad vampire hunter with a mustache that loves his wife?
Oh, that's too funny.
That's hilarious. Okay, people are giving shit to the mustache, and they're saying that's a big
stupid.
ick. That was the style.
That was the style.
That is a very ignorant thing to be pissy about.
Yeah, that's culturally appropriate.
Yeah.
So someone who left a 3-star review says, it was cute, but overall just a little bit too childish and corny for me. Character arcs were abrupt and plot-relevant information was just dropped in the characters' laps. I'm sorry, that happens all the time. SJM does that shit all the time.
I want to talk to people when they say plot is dropped into people's laps. Like, where do you think it comes from? Like, where do you, like, what do you plan for it to happen? Like, that it's already happening and that it doesn't just happen? Like, I get very confused. Let's talk a little bit about the cheesiness. I don't know. Like, it's just cute. And you're getting into a YA vampire book. Like, I don't know a romance vampire book. What do you expect?
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm reading more and more several reviews saying this is a YA book, but it read like middle grade. And I thought that's the point of YA. I thought YA is for middle graders and high schoolers.
What are people's thoughts? I'm confirming YA is typically within the range of 12 to 18.
Exactly. And I think this is the problem with, it's not really a problem, but I'm just going to say what I'm going to say. And please, if you're offended, I'm sorry, but not sorry. This is the problem with the romantasy genre and new adult, and people extrapolating their expectations for romantasy and new adult onto fantasy romance that is YA.
Yeah.
They are two very different things that you cannot judge them at the same level.
No. I think the people who grew up with YA, we are the ones who created romantasy and new adult. Like that, the genre was created for our age generation, our group, and then it evolved with us. And that genre is struggled after that because you're trying to get people to be back into it. But unfortunately, you have teenagers that are busy reading all of these super popular books that are adult books and not having these YA beats and moments. Like Twilight was a cultural phenomenon that took over every age group.
Yeah.
It is middle grade also. It is YA.
Yeah.
And that's what, and it was a YA book. And this is one of those factors where it's like, it's called the bean soup theory. Have I told you about it before? Where there was a woman on TikTok posted a recipe of, this is like her bean soup recipe. And the comments were filled with, but what if I don't like beans? And it's like, well, that's not for you. Not everything is for you.
Fucking move along.
Yeah. Reviews. I'm about to get philosophical here. So, get comfy, Amy. Get in your seat.
Can I take a sip?
Yeah, I'll take a sip before I get on my little podium.
Soapbox.
Reviews are like assholes. We all have one, right?
Okay.
Really articulate. I don't want to say that not everyone should leave a review. You know what I mean? I want to preface what I'm about to say is saying I'm not okay, no one's allowed to leave a review. I am fascinated with some people's reviews because sometimes I think that there ends up being this mentality that maybe they understand something that they don't. I don't want to pick on the person that said story versus plot, or the person who says, this feels like it's YA. Well, middle grade. Well, that is YA.
Yeah.
Although I am picking on them because those are the only reviews we have read out loud. But I don't know them personally. So, yay. May they never find this episode. But it's almost like deconstruct what you're trying to say and find what you're actually going for, because it's like, I don't think you hear what words you're typing, and I don't think you know what you mean.
So I'm going to say something similar but different.
Mm-hmm.
I wish reviewers would state before they write their reviews their biases.
Yeah.
their preferences,
Yeah.
and what lens through which they read this book.
Yeah.
If you came in thinking you were going to read Quicksilver,
Yeah.
of course you're going to be upset. This is a very, very different book, and it is a very, very different level of writing.
Yes.
The two are not comparable.
No. I mean, the amount of times that we've had to be like, oh, this book was good, but I had to read something else before I got into it. Like, we liked Ruthless Vows, but we had just read The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches or something like that. And it just was like the right vibe, from one to the other. It was just a good vibe. We're like, oh, okay. And, there's a lot of factors that go into people's biases, that goes into what you're expecting. I went from this book to Within the Same Day, When the Moon Hatched, and I had to pause and take a beat and just be like, okay, we went from a super tight book that was rapid fire, keeping things tight, let's keep going, to a 20-hour audiobook. I'm having to put on the brakes to myself and just like, let's go into this a little bit more clear-headed. And then there's just this, I told you a little bit, Amy, about like the Audra Winters thing. It's an author. So for anyone who doesn't know, it's an author on TikTok who's, been promoting her book that she's been working on for 10 years. She's 22. So that means she's been working on it since she was 12. So, just keep that in mind. And it's an indie book. She published it, pre-orders, over 6,000 pre-orders before it even happened in a single day. Huge internet sensation. Yay. People get it. They start reading it and they're like, this is the worst book I've ever read. I hate this book. I need a refund. She's the worst author. And then people started doing videos about why it's so bad. And they post the first page. And there is nothing on this first page that makes it worse than some of the best-selling books out there.
Yeah.
And that's what really pissed me off too, are the amount of people that got their little whiteboard. I mean, this isn't any particular person. They didn't actually have a whiteboard, but this is a metaphorical whiteboard. That they got their little thing to say, hey, this is why, there was like, as an editor of books, this is why this is bad. And they start looking at all these things. And one of the first things that she said was like, it's the first paragraph. And I don't even know what this forest looks like. Are we cold? Is it day? Is it all these things? And I'm like, the first paragraph in a book?
That's fucking nonsense. If you bore me with that shit, I'm putting the book down.
Yeah, you're telling me that you want someone to say, I'm looking out to this forest at 9 p.m. and the moon is partially cold. It is about, that is about a 64 degree temperature. The wind is coming from north to south. Like, what the fuck do you want?
I ate porridge for dinner.
Yeah, I'm feeling a little constipated right now, so it's adding to my anxiety. I don't what kind of information are you asking for? And, other people were just like, and it's very repetitive. She was naming the forest. It was the name of the forest. She said the name of the forest a few times. And it's like, that's the name of the forest.
Are you not going to use the name of your characters?
I'm like, yeah. And it's like, now maybe the rest of the book is bad. It could be. I don't know. I didn't read it. But for the things that people were nitpicking, for the things that everyone suddenly felt like they're so professional, and it's like, I'm such an asshole. But when you go out and you post as someone who's getting their degree in literature right now, I can tell you why this is so bad. And I want to be like, babe, I can tell you that you are just like me and you probably have your head stuck up your own ass.
Mm-hmm.
Circle back when you're 100K in debt with other degrees and stuff. And then things with higher education is that you beat you down and you realize, oh, I know nothing.
Right. I mean, I think this is also exacerbated by social media.
Yeah.
And the fact that people feel entitled to having an opinion just for clickbait.
For views. That's all it is.
Just for views.
Because I doubt most of them even felt this way.
And then you're putting down someone's work that you haven't done yourself.
This author then comes out and says, I hear what you're saying. I'll do better. I'm going to re-release this book. I'm going to get more editors and I'm going to put it out again. And when I republish it, it's going to be better. It's going to have more art. It's going to have more, special deluxe edition. That means it's going to be a little bit more expensive, but I'm going to put it out again. People were pissed off. What are you telling me that I'm going to have to pay more? I don't care about art. I don't want to. Then don't buy the book.
Yeah. Just move on. Find
They get the Kindle version. I thought this young woman, this 22-year-old young woman, had so much grace to come back onto the internet and say, I hear what you said. I'm going to do better. She didn't know anyone that.
She did not owe anybody that. Nobody fucking deserved that.
No. And then she comes out and is like, I'm going to do better. I'm going to re-release the book. And then just says, I'm going to make it so much better. Here are all the great things. And then people get mad about that. And it's like, some people are like, I wasn't asking for a deluxe edition. I'm like, would you have even bought it? Would you have even purchased this new version? Probably not. This isn't for you. This isn't your bean soup.
I do feel sad that on Goodreads, A Cruel Thirst is rated 3.84 with less than 3,000 ratings and 1,000 reviews. It deserves so much more than that.
Yeah.
And I highly, 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 highly recommend that people check this out. Don't listen to the reviews. And that's the thing at the end of the day. And me, learning my own lesson with avoiding the Hunger Games for years just because so many people gave it good reviews. Do the work. You got to read it yourself and make your own assessment.
And come to it knowing you're coming for the vibes. I think it helped that we read Hunger Games, a YA book, to this, another YA book.
Yep, completely.
I think it helped that we came from a book that was done traditionally very well, followed that traditional style of writing, then to come to another one that's follows the traditional structure of a book that does it really, really well.
Yeah.
And that is why I'm struggling getting into When the Moon Hatched. So,
hey, yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I'm not, but
well, I think I'm not struggling with it. There's just I got notes.
Yeah, that's fair.
But I know where my notes are coming from.
Yeah.
So if you're what's your bias? That's my bias. My bias is I came from several books in a row that have that structure, which I love. I'm a sucker for it. I'm a whore for structure. And
When the Moon Hatched, it does not provide that.
It ain't that. Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's I remember discussing during A Court of Thorns and Roses. The first time I read A Court of Thorns and Roses, I had to put it down because I had just come from Patrick Rothfuss.
Yeah.
Name of the Wind, super duper high fantasy, super, super aspirational in terms of high fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
And A Court of Thorns and Roses was not that in the first 10 pages.
No.
But then I came back to read it and I loved it.
Everyone comes back. Same. I came back with Cruel Prince. You come back to things, come back to it with a different perspective, and it'll get better. And if it doesn't, it doesn't, and that's fine. But give this book a chance. And when you give this book a chance, give it a chance with the clear mind we are warning you with, because it's worth it and it's so good.
Come for a good time.
Did great job, Angela.
Great job. I loved this. I can't wait to talk to you.
Do you think she would? I think she'd talk to us.
I think she'd talk to us.
Do you think she'd listen to this?
I don't know.
We love you. And scene. that evil laugh ending is perfect. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Book Talk for Book Talk with Jack and Amy. We encourage you to rate and subscribe to our show on your preferred podcast listening platform. Next week, we'll be discussing When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker. Stick around Thursday for a special mini episode.
We would love to hear your thoughts based on today's conversation. If you'd like to submit your take on any of the books we plan to discuss later this autumn-ish, please be sure to follow us on Instagram, where we ask for listener submissions.
If you're enjoying the podcast, please visit our website, booktalkforbooktalk.com, to view our latest merch and learn about supporting the show through Patreon or Venmo. You can follow us on TikTok, Instagram, or YouTube at the handle Book Talk for Book Talk. Bye.
This show is sponsored by Liquid IV.
Summer might be over, but hydration is never over.
I need it more than ever now that it's back to school season.
Thank goodness for Liquid IV, because that is what's getting me hydrated and ready for the fall.
Liquid IV is scientifically formulated to help replenish electrolytes and fluids lost from sweat or exercise.
3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drink, plus 8 vitamins and nutrients, all in a single stick.
1 stick of Liquid IV in 16 ounces of water is more hydrating than water alone.
Liquid IV has their new Liquid IV's Energy Multiplier Sugar-Free Hydration Energy. This is what I use daily.
It's 0 sugar, 3 times the electrolytes, and 9 essential vitamins for a sugar-free, crash-free boost.
The fact that it has natural caffeine, it's perfect for that jitter-free, sugar-free lift because you know how I react to caffeine.
And you know what? It comes in 2 amazing flavors. They have a sugar-free energy strawberry kiwi and the best sugar-free energy blackberry lemonade.
I had food poisoning this week, and I'm not even exaggerating when I tell you I had my liquid IV in my giant tumbler, just sipping it, trying to stay hydrated, and I think it saved me.
It's scientifically formulated to support physical energy, hydration, focus, mood, and social stamina, or in Jack's case, food poisoning stamina.
Ditch the glitch with 0 sugar and 0 crash from Liquid IV.
Tear, pour, live more. Go to liquidiv.com and get 20% off your first order with the code BookTalk at checkout.
That's 20% off your first order with code BookTalk. BookTalk at liquidiv.com. Amy, it is my time to shine because fall is in full swing.
All I want for fall are those big, soft sweaters that I can wear everywhere, but they are way too expensive.
Fortunately, Quince makes it easy to look polished, stay warmed, and save big without compromising on quality.
I love their elevated pieces that are just those go-to essentials for fall, including their 100% Mongolian cashmere sweaters from $50. You can't get that anywhere else.
I got one of their cardigans last year. It was my favorite cardigan, and it's going to continue to be my favorite cardigan.
I have always wanted one of those giant wool coats, and I've never made the investment because they're so expensive, but I actually can get the quality that I'm looking for a decent price through Quince.
That's because by partnering directly with ethical, top-tier factories and cutting out the middleman, Quince is able to deliver luxury quality pieces at half the price of similar brands. It's the kind of wardrobe upgrade that feels smart, stylish, and effortless.
I love my 100% cotton button-ups that I've got for this summer. They were a perfect transition piece for summer to fall. Keep it classy and cozy this fall with long-lasting staples from Quince.
Go to quince.com/booktalk for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns.
That's QUINCE.com/booktalk. BOOKTALK to get free shipping and 365-day returns.
Quince.com/booktalk.
As a kid, there was nothing more important than that next PlayStation game. My parents made us save for that stuff.
If only you had Acorns Early.
Yeah, because I had to carry cash, man. That's hard to keep.
Acorns Early is the smart debit card and money app that grows kids' money skills as they grow up.
If you're one of those parents who likes chore charts, you can start with in-app chores trackers and teach your kids the value of $1.
By doing that, it lets your kids set their own saving goals and start building healthy money habits early. I really wish I had something like this when I was younger.
I wish my parents made me do this now.
Actually, yes.
Kids can spend what they've earned with their very own customizable debit card, giving them that extra sense of independence.
Plus, with Acorns Early's spending limits and real-time spending notifications, you are always going to stay in control, parents.
Ready to teach your kids the smart way to earn, save, and spend? Get your first month on us when you head to acornsearly.com/booktalk or download the Acorns Early app. That's 1 month free when you sign up for acornsearly.com/booktalk. BOOKTALK.
Acorns Early Card is issued by Community Federal Savings Bank, member FDIC, pursuant to license by MasterCard International. Free trial for new subscribers only. Subscription fees starting from $5 per month unless canceled. Terms apply at acorns.com/early terms.